Very glad to be with you today. My intent today is to lead you through a presentation that will give you the impression, and more than impression, a good feeling on what a global company like DPDgroup does in terms of sustainability. So our road to sustainability, before going into the actions that we are currently putting together, just a few words on who is DPDgroup. DPDgroup is actually an international parcel delivery network operating all around the world, as you can see on the map, with a headquarters in Paris. I'm currently based in Paris in the headquarters, and with a global footprint, mostly European, but more and more international, of course, and now becoming a very important actor and player in Brazil. You can see a few numbers on the slide. Last year, we delivered roughly 2 billion parcel with a pretty high level growth compared to the previous years, 2019. And this was obviously, let's say, related to the more rapid digitalization of our society, let's say, boosted by the COVID crisis. So parcel transportation service within DPDgroup were very, very put under pressure, a very important role that we had during these hard times, and this is truly visible in the numbers. More or less 11 billion revenues and a bit less than 100,000 people, delivery experts working for our network. Going further, sustainability. So I have the privilege to be leading the sustainability program within DPDgroup, among which JADLog business unit, of course, is a key player within the American and South American market. We see sustainability today as a growing expectations among, let's say, our stakeholders. Stakeholders are diverse. We, of course, have a lot of requests and a lot of attention by the regulators. And currently, just to let you know, within Europe, there are currently very, very stringent plans to reach the decarbonization targets by 2050, which is to reduce for transport by 90% the carbon footprint in 2050 compared to 1990, and as well become a continent climate neutral. So a lot of expectation at regulation level. Companies need to act, and this is something which is as well emphasized by customers, our customers, so shippers, e-merchants, and as well consumers. As you can see on this slide, in the UK, for example, we have more or less 43% of the UK e-shoppers that would be likely to switch to a different e-tailer offering sustainable delivery options. And this is a good sign. This is something that we are measuring on a yearly basis through an e-shopper barometer within DPDgroup. Another interesting figure, 70% of regular EU e-shopper today consider that's the responsibility of the brands to be environmentally responsible. So private companies, big groups, whether in transportation or in other sectors, need to act because wider audience, consignees, consumers expect that we act. And I just found out recently a new study being led in France by a French institute called IFOP among 1,000 people, French people. It was made in August. It was an interesting outlook as well, which was to say that 70% of the people expect that e-merchants act and think that they would have a better image if they would offer an eco-responsible offering. So 70% of the e-shoppers would have a better image if e-merchants would implement eco-responsible delivery options. And what they say more, they say that 80% of them, of the consumer, would potentially accept a less rapid delivery, which is an interesting indication, but only 27% would accept to pay more. So these figures are very interesting, and I think really set the scene on the stakeholder expectations. We'll see further which other stakeholder we are addressing. As a matter of context, we saw as well in the past months and years that, and mostly in 2020, when the COVID-19 crisis came, let's say, internationally, that the community became more important than ever. And that was the time where a company such as DPDgroup was able to prove through an array of measures that it has a key role to play to make the company, let's say the society, able to still be able to live in these hard times. So DPDgroup clearly protected its employees and partners through the, let's say, all sanitary measures that were very effective, such as social distancing and other kind of initiatives such as telework. But we as well took measures to protect our customers and consignees by very, very quickly implementing what we call contactless deliveries. And this was, I think, a very smart move to make sure that we protect everybody. And at the same time, we enable let's say, the businesses to reopen their doors and to still be able to fulfill consumer needs. Having said that, DPDgroup has set a vision 2030, and its vision 2030 is quite clear. We basically see our business being sustainable in its core. There's no other way to do business. If you still want to have a license to operate, to be able to deliver parcels in the coming months and years, we have to adapt our operations. We have to decrease our environmental footprint, which is an obvious impact that we put to the environment, but as well, we have to really take care of our stakeholders. And this is why when we launched the new Vision 2030, the statement was clear. We want to become the international reference in sustainable delivery, including both environmental and social responsibility, and of course, a leading enabler of the e-commerce acceleration. That's a very key statement for DPDgroup, which you will see as well developed in the following slides. It's not a matter of months that we started our sustainability journey. We started back in 2012 with a strong commitment at that time on the environmental side. And several steps have been followed since that moment, as a clear commitment to the United Nations Global Compact with the signature of our CEO, showing as well the management commitment to sustainability. That was, I think, one of the key steps back in 2016, and the commitment to support the Sustainable Development Goals. Based on that, we developed a sustainability strategy that you can see on the left part of the screen, involving both environmental and social initiatives and programs. This is something that was key to us. We really wanted to have an holistic, pragmatic program which will really impact positively our stakeholders. Among these petals, let's call them petals on the flower, two of them are really related to our environmental responsibility, carbon neutral commitment. We want to be carbon neutral at no extra cost, and this is our commitment since 2012. Smart urban delivery, it's our way as well to operate in city centers, you'll see, with the less impact and of course the maximum efficiency to bring the best service to our consumers and to the customers. The next part, which is more the lower part of the petals and of the driving change strategy, it's more the social involvement and engagement of DPDgroup. We want to be close to our communities. We want to be close as well and respectful and ethically very right with regards to our employees, and this is as well a key area of our program. And last but not least, we as well foster and we try to develop as much as possible our support to innovation, which is something that you're going to see as well quite clearly in the coming slides. Just a simple message, we were already granted with recognitions. As you can see, EcoVadis on the right part of the screen, we received a gold level, meaning that today sustainable rating agencies, let's say, rate companies and big major companies like DPDgroup and other sectors. And that was, let's say, very insightful for us to see that our level of performance was assessed as pretty effective. So this is not the end of the road, but at least it was good to hear. Let's go a bit more in detail into our carbon neutral commitments. We, as a global operator, a parcel delivery company, one of our main goals is definitely to drive down our emissions across the whole parcel delivery chain. And this is something that we are going to address, and we still address, for many years. And we're going to address, and we're addressing that from our own emission, scope 1, from indirect emissions like electricity, scope 2, as well as scope 3 emissions, which link to subcontractors and indirect emissions from our supply chain. All these emissions are taken into account into our programs, and as you can see, our 2025 goals are detailed very specifically. We want to decrease our carbon footprint by 30% in 2025 compared to 2013. The good news is that we already achieved 2/3 of the result with -19% in 2020, and as a sub-targets below this, we will deploy as many as possible low-emission vehicles, such as electric vehicles, natural gas vehicles. You can see a target of 5,000 low-emission vehicles. I can already tell you that we will beat this number with more emissions, with more alternative vehicles on the road. The same with larger trucks, which is another challenge, where technologies are not completely available right now, but we're trying as well to decrease, let's say, the average age of our fleet, and at the same time to experiment all kind of trucks and alternative technologies that are available on the market. And I will just explain that in a few seconds. Last but not least, we are as well committing to purchase sustainable electricity, at least produced from renewable sources, which is something which will complement the whole plan. So really our plan is based on those goals. We addressing this carbon neutral commitment through different steps. The first one, we're measuring as a global corporation our carbon footprint with internal tools and align with the recognized standards on the market, as well as enabling our customers, e-merchants, and even consumers to get their carbon footprint with specific tools that we have developed. You can see in very small format some carbon reports that we are currently issuing to our customers, as well carbon neutral commitment and carbon neutral certificates that we are addressing to the customers. So first part, measuring. Second part, the most important one after measuring, of course, we need to reduce our footprint with holistic plans. On that, we are acting on our main emission sources, which are the first and last mile, the long distance trip, the buildings, and as well managing the waste. I will come back on that in a few seconds. And finally, the third step, the remaining emissions after the reduction part are currently offset on the voluntary offsetting markets with carbon credits that are being purchased, recognized standards carbon credits that are being purchased on a yearly basis at no extra cost to our customers. This is something that we decided to internalize in terms of cost, indeed, and we do not, reinvoice or invoice this commitment to our customers. Going a bit further, a bit more in the details, so you see the improvement of our CO2 footprint per parcel until the -19% in 2020. What I wanted to show you there is that a DPDgroup footprint breakdown could look like what you can see on the right part. Basically, road transport is more or less 90% of our global footprint. So that's a no-brainer. We need to act on vehicles, PUD, pick-up and delivery vehicles, first, last mile, and as well road long distance trucks. The remaining of our emissions are more related to buildings, air freight, a bit of air freight in our business, and as well other impacts such as paper, packaging, and on-site freight, for example. But let's keep this information. Road transport is the major mean of CO2 emissions. What we do, and currently, and I wanted to show you a few examples of our initiative, mainly based and located in Europe, but I will come back on wider examples later on. DPD is currently implementing all kind of initiatives on the first and last mile, as you can see on the upper part of the screen. In the UK, for example, we had our first all-electric, depot and a first full city covered with only electric vehicles in the UK, in Oxford, meaning that 15,000 parcels a week are delivered by 40 electric vehicles. This is an achievement that you'll see has been copy-paste and let's say largely deployed around our European operations. You can see as well, for example, in Poland, where there's a strong focus to double their electric fleet, and will reach 300 electric vehicles by 2025. So last mile, first mile, very important. The lineal part, long distance trucking as well. This is more challenging, as I just mentioned before. Technology is not that ready, not that affordable yet. At least we have a transition technology such as natural gas. Many business units in Europe currently invest in natural gas powered vehicles, such as in Ireland, and as well test and learn operations like in Switzerland. And as you can see, in Switzerland, we had an interesting happening in the past days. We had a sort of a record, and a Guinness World Record with the electric truck, the first electric truck with the longest distance covered in one charge, more than 1,000 kilometers. So you see, important for us as well to test and learn, see the new technologies such as electric trucks, and try to improve and see how effective this technology can serve our business. Last but not least, the buildings. We're trying to decrease our impact on the buildings. No brainer, a lot of solar panels installed throughout our operations in the Netherlands, but as well in the UK and in France. In France as well, a lot of LED lighting projects, really enabling to reduce the energy consumption, 3 to 7 times less electricity required and less maintenance through LED lighting. So we try to pull all the triggers, use all the solutions to decrease our carbon footprint and to reach our ambitious goals. Important to say, as a group, Jadlog as well is a key contributor, and Jadlog has started the journey of decarbonization. They are active as well, and they are active in many areas, or the 3 areas that I just mentioned. I just wanted to give you as well a few examples on how in Brazil we try to decarbonize. There are some projects on the trucking part, as I mentioned, very, very challenging one. So compressed natural gas trucks currently operated, 4 new trucks since a few times, and electric trucks as well, trucks that will be launched this month to test as well electric technology when it comes to longer distance. Important to state as well, pick up and delivery, first and last mile. There's actually a very, very important project within Brazil on CNG first and last mile with a customer, Hermes Pardini, and you see a great outlook of fleet growth. So almost a bit more than 100 vehicles planned at the end of this year. So a lot of things as well happening in Brazil. We count on Brazil as well to, let's say, add up on top of what is already being done on other continents such as Europe and Asia. And indeed, together we will reach, and we hope to reach the challenging targets. Important, again, step 3 of our measure, reduce, offset. I mentioned that we currently are carbon neutral at no extra cost for our customers. This positions DPDgroup as one of the key players on the market, neutralizing its emissions through carbon credits. As you can see, we more or less emit 1.5 million tons of CO2 emissions, which could be compared to a city close to, let's say, European city close to 200,000 inhabitants, if you would like to have a comparison. And this offsetting goes through 2 major projects. We invest in clean energy projects, such as in India, wind energy production, as you can see, and as well, and I wanted to highlight on this one, another project which is related to landfill gas transformed into renewable energy. And this project is currently is led and has been led in Brazil. The Brazil landfill gas is today very important to DPD Group because it enables to offset part of our global emissions. This project, as you can see, located in Salvador da Bahia, really contributes to avoid emissions by using biogas turbines, taking biomass, all the waste and waste that is coming from agriculture and from households. And this waste is currently being put into a biodigester, and all the methane gas captured and creating clean energy. And avoiding putting the methane in the atmosphere enable us to offset, let's say, our emissions, because those tons of CO2 and those tons of greenhouse gas are not put into the atmosphere. So that's the principle of offsetting that we're using. And a great outcome, as you can see, next to the green electricity that we produce, the amount of Brazilian people supplied with green electricity coming from this project during 1 year is close to 30,000. So that's the contribution of DPD Group and Dialog to, let's say, the Brazilian society. I wanted to continue on the strategic pillars, so carbon neutral commitment, smart urban delivery. Let me tell you and explain you what it means for DPD Group. Smart urban delivery is basically quite simple. We consider smart urban delivery with including 3 different elements. First one, as you can see on your screen, innovative or not that innovative solutions such as biking or cargo cycles. This one is a photo that has been taken in Brazil, in Germany, where you can see a delivery man delivering parcels with a cargo bike. Quite easy to let's say operate and to go into the tiny and narrow streets in some cities, in European cities. So that's the first element, the alternative mean of transportation. Secondly, the urban infrastructure. So we operate more and more micro depot. Today we have more than 130 micro depots deployed throughout Europe that are really the base of operations for bike deliveries, walker deliveries, but as well, let's say, very important areas, very important points where customers, consignee, can use and can drop off parcels and can get their parcel as a pickup and delivery operations drop-off point. That's the second one. And the last one are services. And the services we will see a bit later on. These are as well very important. The interactions with the customers enabling us to succeed the delivery at the first attempt. Important to state, and that was as well already mentioned a bit before with in the UK and Oxford City, but the very first city where DPD Group succeeded to fully deliver and to exclusively deliver a full city with only low emission fleet was Paris back in October 2019. So it's almost 2 years now. Paris with Chronopost, our French brand, was the first one to implement a fully, let's say, operated city with only low emission fleet as a delivery mean. This was quite impactful, and that was really insightful for the other business unit of DPD Group. And this is something that really paved the way for further improvement. That paved the way, and this is where, let's say, the group and DPD Group achieved a very ambitious plan to cover many more cities within Europe, because today cities are very important in terms of course, parcel delivery volumes, but as well, this is where potentially companies such as DPD Group can have the most impact. So we want to improve our impact in terms of congestions, in terms of CO2 emissions, but as well in terms of air quality. And this is why we decided to focus really on city centers. As you can see, our focus for 2025 is to deliver 225 cities with exclusively low emission vehicles and means. So meaning the Paris case from October 2019, we want to duplicate it 225 times at least. So that's a great commitment from DPD Group. When we will have achieved that, and I have no doubt that we will achieve it, we will be in a situation to deliver on a daily basis almost 80 million inhabitants with this new network. So that's a major impact, meaning that we will have more than 5,000 low-emission vehicles in place. And I can tell you that will be more than 5,000. And of course, the related infrastructure will have new urban depots that I just mentioned, around 80. So a great commitment that will support DPDgroup decarbonization roadmap and at the same time enable to be really in line with city expectations and new city regulation. The third element that I mentioned before, interactions with customers. This is something that has been already addressed today in another conference by a colleague of mine. The importance of, let's say, regular and let's say almost continuous interactions with consignees is key to us. This is why DPDgroup developed some services such as Predict. Predict is a really a way and an interaction, a continuous interactions with consignees through text messages or email, enabling the consignees to take control over the deliveries, meaning that if they are not at home or not willing to be delivered at home or at later stage, they can simply reply and give the information to DPDgroup and DPDgroup unit. And this is fundamental to us, because being able to deliver our parcels at the first attempt will really have a positive environmental impact. As you can as well see on your screen, we made a study that showed that today having this service in place really save 5% of CO2 emissions per parcel compared to a standard delivery, home delivery, when there is not the Predict service. So really making sure that we succeed the delivery at the first time is really good for the environment, and this is something that we are currently very proud of. The second element, and this is the other service that I was referring to, our pickup and drop-off network. So pickup network, number one in Europe, and with more than 58 pickup points, lockers, parcel shops, and other micro depots. This pickup shop, so drop-off points, really as well is an additional solution that can bring to our consignees, really giving additional convenience to the consignees that ordering on websites or on websites, and enabling them to, of course, have a very interesting solution, which has as well potentially a very, very important impact in terms of environment. Just to give you an indication, based on the same study as the one I referred to for Predict, we made some calculations in the survey that delivering directly to a pickup point would enable to save 63% of CO2 emissions per parcel on the last mile. So that's a very important number. Of course, we need to be cautious with this number. It doesn't take into account, let's say, the collection way of the consignee, but thinking about the pure last mile, this is a solution that is as well very environmental friendly. Of course, encouraging your consignees to go and pick up the parcels by bike, by foot, by public transportation will enable indeed to consolidate this positive impact. So important for us to show you that the product that we put in place really, as well as the convenience importance for consignees, but as well can save CO2 emissions, as well pollutants that are very harmful for health. On DPDgroup level, we wanted as well to show our customers, so customer shippers and consignees, definitely that we are active on this environmental commitment. And this environmental commitment, as you can see, is visible on our fleet with green colors, but as well, very interesting initiative taken in few business units in Europe. We provide to the consignees green notification, providing them an information that they will be delivered with an electric vehicle, with a low emission vehicle, so that it's very tangible to them that they are being delivered with very few emissions, because as you know and perfectly know, not all the consignees always see the delivery vehicle that is coming into their streets. So these are two concrete examples on how DPD Group and DPD Group business unit showcase our commitment in terms of green. Very as well innovative project that DPD Group was at the origin of. We decided back in 2019 as well to invest into air quality monitoring. This was quite a breakthrough in our industry. We decided to use the breadth of our vehicle network and city locations and pickup network to be able to measure and monitor air quality by applying sensors, laser sensors, on the top of the vehicles or on the front of the parcel shops. Why? Because we were as well very sensitive to the fact that today urban pollutions, PM2.5, small particle matter, very, very, very small, 20 times more thinner than human hair, go really deeply in the human body and can really be deleterious and cause really serious health problems. So we define as a sustainability initiative within DPD Group to monitor air quality and to give this information both to city authorities, and that was a very interesting case and success case in Portugal. This was the first city where we implemented the project, and the city authorities of Lisbon decided to use this air quality information provided by DPD in Portugal to shape their new low emission zone in the heart of Lisbon city. So really bringing fact-based information to enable city authorities to act for the good, and at the same time informing consumers, citizens, on the air quality at their doorstep. So these were the two outcomes, and we're really proud of that. We are reaching 20 cities, the objective of 20 cities in Europe by the end of 2021, and really hopefully willing to expand this project abroad. And why not one day in Brazil? That's another story. One of the last elements I wanted to show you. So we talked a lot about emissions, carbon emissions, air quality, so pollutants. We are as well becoming much more active now in the so-called circular economy. So we are, of course, looking at the way we consume resources, the way we recycle. We recycle today more than 85% of our waste, and avoiding to put, let's say, our waste to the landfill. That's very important to us. But as well, we're really trying to innovate in the area of circular economy with customers. And I wanted just to show you two examples that were both led in the UK. The first one is a solution that has been, let's say, constructed with a customer, ASUS, which allow, during a delivery of a product, which allow the consignees to give at the same time to the driver a pre-loved cloth or an old cloth to be given to a chosen charity that has been chosen on the ASUS website. So very interesting, because there we are using the return of a shipment sent to an ASUS customer to provide all clothes to charity. And this is a very interesting circular economy and social beneficial project that we have been implementing and still, let's say, testing within the UK. Another one in the UK, making sure that we are as well not creating waste with the food that we're transporting for some of our customers, such as Gusto in the UK. So there's an agreement with the customer that if for any reason, customer reason or other reason, there's a problem, or let's say the parcel box cannot be delivered, that this box is being delivered to a charity called Fair Share. So we're avoiding as much as possible waste. Very important for us to be a key player with our return network, with our PUDO network, to enable the circular economy. Last but not least, employer and partner of choice. We are active as well within our company for our employees, trying to develop their skills with internal academies, but as well making sure that we create positive impact throughout as well potential foundations that have been created locally. We have one foundation in Poland, as you can see on your screen, working for, let's say, our main partners, and to collect potentially donations, funds to really support our partners in need. That's an example of, let's say, social related initiative, and we have other foundations in Spain and Germany that I could talk of. But I guess I've arrived to the end of my presentation. I just wanted to give you a last information on the fact that there's much more information on DPDgroup website. You have the address at the bottom of your screen. Don't hesitate to go there. We have a sustainability report where we expand a lot on these initiatives. And I hope that within this time frame, I've been a bit long, sorry for that, that you learned a bit more about DPDgroup commitment to sustainability and definitely JADLog commitment supporting the whole operations. Thank you very much for your attention, and speak to you soon.
E aí, gostou do vídeo? Então não deixe de curtir e compartilhar. Aqui do lado tem 2 sugestões que você pode gostar. Até a próxima!